In America, we turn on the faucet and drink freely. We do not worry about our water quality, nor do we worry about the availability of purified water here. Around the world, however, the story of clean water is not the same. According to the Pacific Institute, every day, 2 million tons of sewage, industrial, and agricultural waste are discharged into the world's water, the equivalent of the weight of the entire human population of 6.8 billion people. Today, 2.5 billion people, including almost 1 billion children, live without even basic sanitation. Every 20 seconds, a child dies as a result of poor sanitation. That's 1.5 million preventable deaths each year. The total usable freshwater supply for ecosystems and humans is about 200,000 cubic kilometers of water, less than 1% of all freshwater resources. By 2025, 1,800 million people will be living in countries or regions with absolute water scarcity, and 2/3 of the world population could be under stress conditions. More than 1 in 6 people worldwide, 894 million people, don't have access to improved water sources. Worldwide, infectious diseases such as waterborne diseases are the #1 killer of children under 5 years old, and more people die from unsafe water annually than from all forms of violence, including war. Would you believe me if I told you that parts of the world are dependent on the rain for water they see as clean, and many in those parts of the world die from the water quality and how limited the rain comes? This is the issue we have decided to focus on and hope to raise awareness on. Clean water is a survival right, not a privilege, and should be easily accessible by anyone at any time, regardless of what continent that person lives on or was born on.
About 1/4 of China's population of over 1 billion lack access to clean drinking water, and 70% of China's lakes and rivers are polluted. The true numbers of the population have only been released fairly recently for political reasons, and now the Chinese face an even bigger problem than they realized. The majority of the pollution occurs in western China, where most of the water is used for the country's agriculture. The heavily populated cities of the east also have problems with gaining access to clean water.
Would you believe me if I told you that the poor people in Italy have only had clean water for 50 years, and it causes birth defects from the harsh chemicals used to treat the water? According to a recent study, babies whose mothers drink tap water that contained 2 disinfection byproducts were more likely to be born with cleft palate and spina bifida. Regions of northern Italy treat drinking water with 2 disinfectants, either alone or in tandem, chlorine dioxide and sodium hypochlorite. The effects these chemicals have on public health are largely unknown because assessing their health effect is difficult. People are largely exposed to them through drinking tap water, breathing them during a bath or shower, and engaging in other water activities like swimming in treated pools. But Italy does not regulate chlorate. Local authorities set the high exposure level as anything greater than 200 micrograms per liter. Expectant mothers in the impoverished areas had 9.6 times the risk of having a baby with cleft palate as compared to mothers in non-impoverished areas. Their babies also had nearly 5 times the risk of spina bifida, and nearly 3 times the risk of obstructive urinary defects.
Third world regions like Africa suffer the greatest adversity from the impacts of water pollution. Terrible water conditions derive from the industrial nature of the majority of the inhabiting government-run companies and from poor filtration. Water pollution in Africa has led to major epidemics and widespread disease and affects the majority of the continent. According to the World Wildlife Foundation, 14 countries in Africa are already experiencing water stress. Another 11 countries are expected to join them by 2025, at which time nearly 50% of Africa's predicted population of 1.45 billion people will face water stress or scarcity. Nearly 51% in sub-Saharan countries lack access to a supply of safe water, and 41% lack adequate sanitation. Things are not getting any better. During the last 10 years, provision of sanitation in rural Africa has decreased by 2%, and the low levels of urban water supply and sanitation have hardly improved.
We've seen thus far that clean water is not readily available around the world. People just like you and me are struggling to find clean water, and many die from lack thereof. So now what? Just what can we do? How can we stimulate positive change? Well, one way is by getting involved with groups like the Water Project Incorporated. The Water Project seeks out villages in need of clean water in places like Africa and gathers sponsors to provide such through wells. The Water Project Incorporated uses a 5-step method to accomplish and maintain their goal. The Water Project uses community engagement, where they find villages who are searching for clean water, and they engage them in every part of the well-digging process. They use community education. Before any digging is done, the organization ensures that the community is well educated about hygiene and sanitation. They also actually install the well, where the organization gets a survey done by a hydrogeologist to know where to drill and what rocks to expect. And they also complete a permit to actually start the project with the help of the community. They also use education, follow-up, and handing over the well. After ensuring that the well is safe to drink from, the organization further educates the community and formally gives the well to the people. They also lastly use monitoring and evaluation. This last stage occurs continually to ensure the progress of the well and to help the water project incorporated know how they can do better in the future. You and I can help now and help bring clean water to those in desperate need of it. I dare say, educate yourself, help sponsor a well, start a fundraiser, even go with a group to dig a well. See, we can't wait for change to come to us. We must be stimulators of change.